So I get to the first question, which is my training style. My training style varies a lot based on where I am in terms of whether or not I'm in preparation for a meet or if I'm, I don't have my sights set on a meet or something like that. The last, I guess, 6 to 8 months or so, I've gotten a lot of my training principles from the Juggernaut methods. Shout out to my friend Chad Wesley Smith, who I met and got a chance to converse with a good bit in Australia at Pro Raw. I've learned a lot from this guy in a short amount of time, and he's really quick to share his knowledge. And I feel like I picked up on a lot of that. So a lot of the things that I've done in the last few months, not only with myself but with my athletes and my clients, comes from some of his philosophy. So back to the question though. My training is similar to what most powerlifters do, but in, I guess, a little bit of a different format. The farther I am out from a meet, I do much less meet specific type stuff. So a lot of bodybuilding style training, a lot of high volume stuff. As I get closer to a meet, I may cut down on the hypertrophy in terms of the volume and the frequency as well. So like right now, I'm not planning to compete again until July. So everything is very high volume, very high frequency. Right now I'm training 6 days a week, which is not something that most powerlifters do, but again, I'm not competing for a while, so trying to really build some extra muscle. And right now I'm running a bench program where I'm benching 4 times a week, trying to get myself closer to that 180 keys or that 400-pound mark. So that's one reason why I'm doing that right now. As I get closer to a meet, my frequency and volume cuts down as the intensity or the percentages go, they skyrocket. So, your body takes a bit of a beating doing this high intensity training, so you need more time to recover, and that's why things change the way they do in that regard. So, like I said, higher volume when I'm outside of like 8 weeks from a meet. Once I get closer to 8 weeks, I start kind of getting into a strength preparation where the intensity increases a good bit, volume tapers down just a little bit, and the frequency comes down a little bit. And like I said, once I get to where I'm outside or 4 weeks or 4 to 5 weeks or closer, I'm typically training about 4 times a week, just because I'm getting so beat up on these heavy percentages that I have to have the extra rest time to be able to come back and hit it hard for the next session that week. So that's kind of how I actually train. In terms of my diet, my nutrition, right now I'm not really super dialed in terms of my nutrition. As most people know, I compete at 75 keys or 165 pounds. I don't walk around that light. Actually, right now I'm probably about 183-ish, give or take a couple pounds. In the morning, I'm about 182, 183. By the end of the day, or even midday, I'm close to 190, maybe in the low 190s, just because I drink so much water and I eat 6 to 8 times a day minimum, especially now with all the crazy intensity and frequency that I'm training at right now. So, let's see, I eat lots of red meat, lots of carbs. I'm not shy about pounding down lots of carbs, your rice, potatoes, pasta. Jasmine rice preferably is one of my favorite carb sources. Very rarely will you see me go more than 1 day consecutively without eating jasmine rice, because I absolutely love it. Pancakes, man. You want to talk about a carb source? That's probably my favorite. If IHOP ever decides to sponsor powerlifters, shout out to IHOP, please look my way. I think I look okay in a powder blue singlet with some powder blue socks. So would love to represent a company that I feel like I support a lot. So I don't really deprive myself of much of anything right now. I'm not gonna say I eat any and everything, but if I wanna, I tell people this all the time. If I want to go to Waffle House, I'm gonna go to Waffle House with no hesitation. If I want some cake or some cookies or something like that, I'm gonna eat that cake and cookies. And just hold myself accountable, and I track it. So I'll pull away here or there, later in the day. from something that I may have already had planned to eat that day, just so I don't go way over my projected numbers. Now, I may increase my caloric intake or something like that on a day where I train harder, or I may train a little bit more, maybe multiple lifts that day or something like that, where I feel like I burn more calories than I would in a typical training session. In that regard, I'll eat a little more to make up the ground, but typically it's not always the case, because very rarely do I do multiple lifts in the same day. That's just not, at least this far out from a meet. When I get closer to a meet, I'll start doing 2, sometimes 3 lifts in a day. But at this point, not so much. So, I like to kind of recap that. I eat pretty much what I feel, as long as I track it. I do typically eat cleaner foods. I don't really like that term because it's so subjective, but I do keep it fairly clean for the most part. I'm not a pizza-holic or buffet guy. Now, granted, I'll eat a pizza and I'll go to a buffet on occasion, but like I said, I try to keep that to a minimum, just because I can track it and I can burn it off or whatnot. But realistically, eating garbage food is going to lead to lack of performance. I'd feel like crap all the time if I ate nothing but garbage. So I try to keep it, I guess, at a minimum. For the most part. Supplements. The only things that I take on a regular basis, multivitamin, which I feel like these are things that every person, athlete or not, should have in their daily regimen. Multivitamin, this includes BCAAs in them. Fish oil, glucosamine, MSM, and chondroitin for joints. I don't have any major joint issues now. I'll be 27 next month, so I'm not necessarily old or anything like that. But I'm a big advocate of prehab before rehab. So, let's take care of an issue before it becomes an issue. Why wait until you start having problems to start trying to handle or fix that problem when you can, do things to prevent it in the first place? So, me competing at, 165 pounds and walking around sub 180 most of the time, moving the type of weights that I do, my body's not really meant to do that. So realistically, at any given point, one slip and I could be, crippled for life, basically. But that's the risk that we take. So I try to make sure that I take care of myself the best that I can. Handle everything that I can possibly handle to keep myself in the best health that I can possibly be in. And that is translated to, especially the last year or so, really keeping me away from the major injury bug, knock on wood immediately. But I feel like those things have played a large role in that. So, again, fish oil, glucosamine, MSM, and chondroitin, and the multivitamin. Now, as far as a protein shake, realistically, you don't need them. I'll drink one maybe once or twice a week, but I eat so much meat, man, like... The bulk of I struggle to keep myself from going way over my daily necessary protein intake. So a protein shake would typically put me way over. Now, the days that I do drink them, just because, one, maybe I just want one. Or, like I said, on one of those days where I may train a little more intensely than I typically do. So that would be one of those occasions. But, I have people ask me, are you on protein? I'm like, what does on protein mean? I guess if protein is a drug. If you eat chicken or turkey or eggs or fish, you're on protein too. The sources are different, but they're the same thing. They just break down differently. So, realistically, one protein shake is about the equivalent of 4 ounces of chicken. If you eat chicken, then you're on protein as well. So don't let, media or social media or whatnot, sucker you into thinking that this is a necessity for muscle gains and strength gains and all of that stuff, because it's not. Will it help? Sure. But a supplement is just that, something that's an addition to what you should already be doing. So if you're not taking care of what you need to do on your own, then you're kind of wasting your time and money by buying these supplements. So, all right. So pretty much, last question, last topic. What drugs do I take? Man, this isn't really something that should be discussed online, social media, whatever. Kind of one of those things that should be kept behind closed doors, but there are some people that want to know. So I figured why not let some people know? So there's peanut butter, pancakes, Pop Tarts, graham crackers, Airheads, peanut butter. I think I forgot one. Oh, and peanut butter. Yeah. So, yeah, those would be the drugs that I take. I would consider those performance enhancers, if you want to call it that. If you want to go, deep into drugs, Motrin, okay. You can call it a PED if you like. I mean, I wouldn't be able to. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't be able to, but it helps with my recovery process and keeps some of my inflammation down, especially with my elbows, because I've been dealing with a lot of symptoms of tennis elbow on both elbows recently, especially the last 6 months. My right elbow's kind of started to catch up with the iffiness of my left elbow, but I think I finally gotten that under control now, so thank God for that. So I think that pretty much covers it. Just me answering some basic questions that I've been getting on a regular basis, especially lately. So rather than me answering them individually, I wanted to address them in a video. Now, about the drugs, I don't knock anybody that uses them. Personally, it has nothing to do with me. I have friends that, take them. I've trained people that have taken them, that have taken them. I compete, have competed, and will continue to compete against guys that take them. It has nothing to do with me. I've competed in a drug tested federation once. I did a USAPL meet last year, just over a year ago, down in Mobile. I'm not a humongous fan of USAPL, so that's why I hadn't gone back. But I will be doing a drug tested meet this summer in July in Atlanta. That'll be my, I think only my second drug tested meet that I've done. Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be my 10th meet total. Finally get a heads up matchup with my good friend Brandon Maddox, who is one of the best lifters in the game at 75 keys, drug free or not, which he is drug free, but drug free or not, the kid is a monster. So if you don't know him yet, then look him up. Real humble dude, good friend of mine, and somebody I'm really looking forward to going head to head against this summer in Atlanta. Let's see. That is, I think, the weekend of July the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. July the 15th through the 17th, I think. Yeah. So, like I said, I will be doing that. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, man. We talked about it. We kind of sat down and collaborated about it, and we decided, hey, let's go ahead and do this thing. So, if anybody is free that weekend and wants to see one hell of a show, one hell of a showdown between, two people of, similar strength, but good friends who are just, literally just trying to push each other to the limit. Come to Atlanta in July, and watch some solid powerlifting going on. Let's see. As far as the drug tested federations versus non-tested, I don't have any not necessarily a preference. I've done 9 meets total. I've only competed in a tested federation or a tested meet one time. A lot of people fail to, realize or just don't know. I've only been competitive like a year and a half. So I'm still a baby in this sport. I'll be 27 in like a month and a half. So I'm not necessarily super young, but I'm not old from a powerlifting standpoint. So I feel like I have a lot of upside. I've done a lot so far, but there's a lot more I want to do. I'm never satisfied. I could break every record known to man, and I still wouldn't be satisfied. And I feel like that's one thing that drives me to keep going is, never being satisfied even when I have my best day. I always feel like there's more that I can do, and, the limits can be pushed farther. So, let's see, but I don't have any preference, I would never use it as an excuse. If somebody was, taking something and they beat me, I knew what I was getting into when I stepped foot into that meet. So I can't, logically use as an excuse. You know, that's just not me.